Hello, everybody. My name is Lewis Lee, and this is Plan in Traffic. We do this every Thursday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So, if you have anything you want to talk about, please go to our YouTube channel and you can talk live in the chat or Facebook because we're live there too. Tonight, we are talking 3D printing and can we and do we print auto parts? Because we like toys. So we got Tyler coming on tonight. He got a new toy, and he's going to tell us how it works and what he's working with. We're going to bring him on right now. What up, T?
What's up, Lewis? How's it going?
Oh, man. Trying to be like you.
Oh, yeah. Insomnia and everything else.
Yeah, I'm with you. So, man, I was searching. I was looking through Instagram and a couple other places at 3D printed stuff. It is incredible how detailed and strong parts are now that you can print.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I was just watching a video a little bit ago about a guy who, and this video was old, like 3 years old. He was printing test pieces shaped like a chain link and testing their failure point on a pull test.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the cross section of the failure point was less than a square inch, and he was getting 177 pounds on his test rig before they were breaking.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's really incredible. The range of materials that you can print these days too is really, really expanded. And that's what initially got me started looking at doing 3D printing for the shop. Is custom fuel pump parts 3D printed out of nylon.
So it'd be like a
nylon,
PVC.
Sort of. PVC, there's tons of families of plastics. There's one of the most common high strength filaments is called ABS. That's what's used in like car dashes and stuff like that. That would be an injection molded process versus 3D printed, but same type of plastic. Nylon is it's a long scientific name, I'm not even going to try it. But nylon is pretty chemically stable and it's resistant to most types of alcohol and most types of petroleum products. So that got me thinking, about making an enclosure, because in the 5th gen Camaro and the Pontiac G8, a lot of those GM platform cars, it's pretty common to want to stay with in-tank fuel pumps when you go to high horsepower application. Mm-hmm. But you're working with a limited amount of space. You've only got about a 6-inch, 7-inch wide hole in the tank. And then the distance from the mounting flange of the pump to the bottom of the tank is only maybe 8 or 9 inches deep. So everything in your in-tank fuel system has to fit in that small space. And when you start talking about going to like a triple pump system, you have to sacrifice some stuff along the way. And one of the first things to go is that the bucket that surrounds your pumps and helps keep them from being fuel starved under high acceleration or G forces. And so pretty much you go to this, like a triple pump system, you're going to spend $3,000 give or take on a drop-in system, and then they're going to say, oh, by the way, your new empty mark is a third of a tank, because if you get any lower than that, you basically you can idle it and that's it. Yeah. Otherwise you're going to lose fuel pressure. So that was one of the things I wanted to do, was be able to 3D print a custom enclosure for my fuel pumps to help fight the starvation under acceleration. I started talking to a friend of mine. He lives in Toronto, Canada, and this was over 3 years ago when I first built the fuel system for my G8. And I was talking about different processes, and he suggested 3D printing for the prototyping stage. And then if I develop a product that there's demand for in the aftermarket, a more reliable solution long term would be to have it injection molded out of a nylon. But in the last 3 years, some really incredible advances have been made in the 3D printers available to consumer level persons. Hey Ray, how's it going?
Yeah, right.
Tyler, how are you guys?
Good.
I hope
So
you're
far,
getting
so good.
something. I hope you're getting something important done, because I spent the last 15 minutes trying to find out why my computer didn't see my mic or camera. All of a
tell you.
sudden,
Did you try turning it off and turning it back on again?
No, it was StreamYard. It was a program, and because they were there and they were lit, it just wasn't seeing them. So I was in and out back. I got it. So
Yeah. I run into the same stuff.
like you do it week after week. You don't touch anything, and then all of a sudden, like the wheels fall off the bus.
Yep.
Right.
Tyler, I
So-
thought of you tonight, dude. I was watching a video about a guy they were making cue sticks, and then this guy made 3 square blocks on a lathe. I was like, that amazes the crap out of me. I thought of you. I
Yeah.
said, Tyler would probably know how to do that.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to combining the 3D printer that I just got with some more traditional material manufacturing processes, like working on the lathe. I would really like to see if there's a type of plastic called TPU. All these plastic names they're all abbreviations for their long scientific name.
Right.
But TPU is similar to Delrin in consistency.
Okay.
And you can get it in various levels of elasticity, so hardness. And I'm really looking forward to trying out printing some solid chunks of TPU, and then seeing if I can spin them on the lathe and machine them down, like to make my own custom bushings.
I think
Now,
I think that's actually a no-brainer, because they do make Delrin bushings, and so I think it'd be
They
very
do.
successful.
The difference there is the Delrin bushings that you can buy, or the slugs of Delrin you can buy to machine, they're going to be a solid piece of Delrin, and they're not printed out of strand.
Yeah,
So the compressive strength
I follow you.
is going to, it might just crumble if you were to use it in like an automotive suspension component.
Although,
However,
I was gonna say, I wonder though if it becomes like a ply situation where it gets stronger because of that. Right.
Yeah, and I would definitely have no bones about using it in a like an RC car or any kind of application like that, where you don't have thousands and thousands of pounds of force acting on it.
Use it in Terry's
But that's-
car.
Yeah, for sure.
Somebody's got to be the guinea pig, right?
Right. Right as you hopped on, we were talking about a couple years ago. I was discussing trying to build nylon-based fuel system parts and 3D printing. And at that time, a 3D printer that could easily do nylon prints was not consumer level pricing.
Right.
You needed a commercial machine that was many thousands of dollars. And some advances have been made in the last 2 to 3 years, significantly lowering the entry level cost of some of these more exotic material printing machines.
Right.
So, for example, I got a machine by a company based out of China. They're called Bamboo Labs, and they several of their higher ups, the CEO, a lot of the lead engineers, they're all actually from DJI, the drone manufacturer.
Okay.
And for consumer level drones, it's pretty much undisputed that DJI is the leader, right? And not because their drones perform any better or do things that other drones don't. It's because of the firmware in their drones. They were marketplace leaders in things like automated collision avoidance and a whole bunch of that stuff. And they were one of the first drone companies to bring that stuff down to consumer level pricing again. So this core group of guys started their own company for 3D printing, and they kind of took the 3D printing world by storm with the machines that they have released so far. A lot of people, a lot of 3D print review channels and stuff on YouTube that have called them the iPhone, the Apple product of 3D printing. So for years and years, you bought a 3D printer and you had to do a lot of work to it. It required fine tuning. You had to level the bed. You had to, in some cases, you had to tweak the actual G code that runs the 3-axis movements of the machine, all kinds of different stuff. And it was very much a hobby space, right? It was you had your commercial level stuff where they had dedicated people trained and college degreed to run the things, and then you had your hobby level stuff where these guys were, tweaking and tuning and having fun. Well, what Bambu did is it made it accessible for someone like me who has a basic understanding of CAD, a basic understanding of plastics and how things mechanically work. And all I have to do is get a model, get it into the software, and then just tell the printer to print it. And it pretty much just does it.
Right.
They have really streamlined a lot of the process. And you can make some really incredible stuff. Like this is a model I found. This is printed in pieces. And so you can see it's held together with also 3D printed.
Yeah.
Little clips and stuff. And this is about 2/3 of what will be a model Star Destroyer from Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I was able to print that in just a few hours on this machine just by finding the model and sending it to the printer.
Yeah.
There's really all kinds of stuff. Like I also got a 3D scanner, which has also, at the same pace as 3D printing, kind of become more consumer capable for pricing.
Right.
And so I picked up this little guy. This is an old cell phone I had just as a monitor, but this is by a company called Creality, and it is a 3D scanner, and it uses multiple wavelengths of light, and you bounce them off an object, and it has a software that compiles that and builds you a 3D model. So when you combine that with 3D printing, you start to really expand the possibilities for the automotive market. So say, for example, you have some kind of off-the-wall weird car, and you want to put an aftermarket air fuel gauge in it or something. What you can do is, with this 3D scanner, you could scan the corner of your center console or radio enclosure or whatever, where you want to put a gauge pod. That'll give you a shape to work off of. And then you can do one of two things. You can either build a gauge into that model that this builds for you, or you can use that as one side of a gauge pod that you build off of it. And then you can get that to your 3D printer and print yourself up a gauge pod.
You're talking my language, because that's a project I started to do on my FJ. I wanted to mount a vacuum gauge on the left side panel, but I wanted to angle it toward me a little. And I'm like, what am I going to mount this? Since I took actually a piece of PVC Y and I cut it at an angle, but I had to hog out the inside. It was just a lot of work. I was making dust. So the project got put on hold because I'm trying to do this in easy, and it's becoming hard. And you just have the easy approach right there if you have that, that hardware.
Yeah, exactly. And so for years, people have done that same process, right? They'll get PVC rings, they'll glue them or screw them or whatever into a configuration, and then they'll get fiberglass sheets and make their own fiberglass gauge pod and all that. But that's super smelly. It's a very involved process. That's hours and hours and hours of manual work.
A lot of work.
It's messy. It's there's nothing fun about it.
Right.
And then if you make a simple mistake, you have lost your entire investment to that point, and you got to start over from scratch.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're able to learn some basics in computer assisted design software, you can print a prototype and test fit it within a few hours, typically.
Yeah.
That's where it really comes around with the prototyping aspect of it. If I wanted to make some custom part out of billet aluminum or something like that, I draw it up in CAD anyway and send it to a machine shop for them to CNC machine it. Or, if I was really ritzy, I'd have my own CNC to do it on. But because I have to build that CAD file anyway for whatever, a brake rotor, a brake caliper adapter, because you want to put 6-piston calipers on something that they don't make a kit for,
Yeah.
what have you. I could 3D print the exact same size and specifications within a few hours out of plastic and test my part.
Right.
And make sure that it's not going to, push the caliper out too far or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'll already have the file built. I know it works. I know it fits. I can send it off to, third party or whatever, and have them make a part for me. So prototyping and custom one-off stuff is really where the 3D plastic creator space is shining in for automotive.
Yeah, it really is like the Forerunners when they'd make wood bucks, to build a body out of, and then they would actually make that body out of metal later on. Yeah, it's great. It's you do all right for a homeless guy.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, you do pretty good. But that's it. Lewis, your question's answered, dude. I mean, yeah, absolutely, this is viable.
Oh yeah.
From anything, from like suspension, like you were saying, to make, like I know on my Fiat, I wanted to put better brakes on the car, bigger disc brakes. And there's a company that makes, you put a replacement Wilwood Dynalite caliper on it. So they're easy to get. But the bracket that mounts it, they have, I guess, a patent on it. They won't sell them separate. They want to sell you the brackets, the rotors, the calipers, the hoses. I said, I don't need all that. I just need those brackets. No, we don't sell them separate. Shit. So, that's what's nice to be able to make it your own.
So Tyler, I got a list.
Yeah.
Okay, you know how we were working on my manifold for Peaches,
right?
Remember I said those, like the carburetor had that little funny ring that slid into the boot.
Mm-hmm.
So can we make an adapter that slides into the boot and then slides over the top of the manifold ends, and maybe drill and screw them in or something like that?
Should be able to. Yeah. Now, a lot of these different plastics you can use. There's your basic entry level plastics like PLA and PETG. Those are not going to have very high chemical resistance. So obviously in a situation like that where it's going to be exposed to gasoline, probably the best bet would be to run a more like a nylon, which is one of the things that this machine will actually do. It gets hot enough to print nylon, and nylon already has a pretty high heat resistance. So I definitely think that we could make like carburetor adapters. I could probably make you an entire manifold.
Oh, I didn't think of that. That'd probably be better, huh?
Yeah.
Because then that'd take away that problem of having it pulling in the bottom. Yeah,
exactly. And then you just have to pay real close attention to your properties of the plastics. So some are really good on strength and really good on chemical resistance, but terrible against UV light, for example. So it'll work
buried under my fairings and stuff, so the light won't hit it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then and there's other things you can do to protect plastic from UV as well. You can paint it, tons of different stuff like that. But yeah, the applications are really only limited by the material properties of the plastic and your imagination.
Right. All right, so I'd have to buy the material. So if you could find out what material, I'll buy the material, then go from there.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably going to be one of the ones like I just got this in. This is a roll of material from a company based out of Indiana or Illinois. I forget where they're from, but they're U.S. based. It's called Atomic Filaments. And this is actually black nylon that is carbon fiber reinforced.
Wow.
So
strong.
It's very strong within its particular set of characteristics, right?
Yeah, parameters, right?
So pure nylon is going to have a higher impact resistant braking strength than carbon fiber reinforced. What the carbon fiber reinforcing does is it's not actually like it's not a continuous strand of carbon fiber that's been fed through an extruder with the plastic. There are machines that do that, and they're incredible, but they're also hugely expensive. So what this is tiny little chopped strands of carbon fiber in the plastic that, as it goes through the extruder and it melts, will help the plastic retain its form. So as it cures, it'll have more rigidity. And while it's in its liquid state, it'll also be more rigid as well. So that lets you, a 3D printer can do what's called a bridge. So a good example is on the back of this part here. I don't know if you can see it. There's this notch.
Yeah.
Over a certain amount of distance, that plastic can bridge across. A carbon fiber reinforced filament will have more bridging capability without having to be supported from underneath by a removable support.
Yeah, it's like we are with welding, where you have to bridge a gap.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. So if the gap's too wide, you have to either build out to it, or you have to put like a copper backing spoon, or whatever. Same thing. And they make actual special support filaments for nylon, because it's pretty picky about the types of plastics it interacts with. So a support element has to be compatible with the plastic you're printing the main design out of, to the extent it has to be able to stick to it. Because if it can't stick to it, as soon as you get too far away and then the nozzle tries to move, laterally, it'll drag something that's not stuck.
Yeah.
So, and that involves, big spaghetti mess and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But nylon is one of the main reasons I got this machine. It's Bambu's higher end machine. It has the high nozzle temperature and the high bed temperature to be able to print nylon, because the end goal is to be able to print the top hat for fuel pump systems, and then hopefully also the submerged bucket that surrounds in-tank fuel pumps.
Okay.
So that's my end goal. That's my end goal justification for shop use of the machine is custom fuel system parts like that.
And I'm sure that list will grow as you grow. You'll be making everything.
Yeah, I've already basically I haven't had the machine turn off since Monday when I got it.
Wow. I believe it's a new toy.
That would be my problem, man. I'd be printing everything in the house.
Right.
Well, so there's all kinds of weird things you can do with it. So, for example, this is a tennis ball.
Oh, that's
that
cool.
is it's hollow inside. It's called an airless tennis ball.
Yeah.
And I've taken it out to the shop and I've spiked it pretty hard against the ground, and it'll bounce and hit the ceiling.
Can you bounce off the desk? Can you bounce off the desk so we can hear it?
No, because my desk. My desktop is glass, but
okay, I got it.
And that's concrete.
Right.
Now you're not going to play a game of tennis with it, right? But there's people 3D printing their own wiffle balls for t-ball practice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can do all kinds of stuff like that. Right now, I've built some access here. Let me.
How long did it take for that to print?
I think maybe 2 hours or so.
Okay.
And there's a constant battle. I know there's a way to turn. Oh, maybe not on the web version. I'll have to turn that phone. There's a constant battle against speed versus accuracy and quality, right? So there are 3 points of a triangle. This machine does really well on all of those. It's really has taken the market by storm. All of the other consumer level 3D print companies are really struggling to come up with a turnkey solution like this to compete. But this is what it looks like.
There you go.
So on top is a 4-spool automatic material system.
Right.
So that has 4 spools loaded in it that the printer can select from whenever it wants. Right now, I am printing what is basically a vertical bed holder for the different interchangeable bed surfaces.
Okay. So it's working right
And
now.
I have it paused because there's a cooling fan that runs and it would be pretty loud.
Oh, okay. Got it.
But well, and to unpause it and have it work, it would take like 5 minutes to warm everything back up.
Yeah.
But that lets you see, like, some of this is the hollow inside, and it's pretty incredible. I've been printing all kinds of little, like, these little graded guys inside the material handling system. It didn't come with these. I printed those, and they hold silica beads for drying out the filament, making sure they don't get too humid.
So the machine makes parts for itself already. That's great.
Yeah, I've most of the runtime in the last couple of days has been making parts to improve the usability of the machine.
Are those spools a standard size? So when you buy them from different manufacturers, they're
Pretty close to standard size. Yeah, they're within limits. I'm going to I just ordered a parts kit for an upgrade for the AMS, where there's the outer shell, and then there's an inner structure that holds the little stepper motors and the drive gears and all that stuff. And then on top of that is the rollers where the spools sit. Well, there's a company that about a year ago developed an upgrade called the Hydra upgrade. I don't know where they got the name from, but it reconfigures some of the that inner structure so that you can fit larger and smaller. You can move one of the rollers basically, and you can fit weird sized spools in there.
okay.
And so all I did was I went to their website, and they sell the kit two ways. You can buy it parts only, so bearings and some fasteners and stuff made out of metal, and then you get a print file to print the parts yourself, or they'll print the parts and send them to you.
Actually, it's kind of funny. One of my favorite robots is named Hydra.
Oh, really?
There's a Eward family. They're out in, I think, Missouri or something, and it's a family. They have like 4 bots, and it's a flipper. So I mean, it'll flip bots freaking like 50 feet in the air. It's amazingly powerful. But
Right.
yeah, so that's very cool.
Another thing that I'm working on with the 3D scanner is this is the back trim piece on the back of the quarter panel of a Dodge Charger,
Okay.
68, 69, 70 Charger.
Oh yeah.
And it's cast aluminum.
Uh-huh.
Well, on the stunt cars for the Northeast Ohio Dukes, we don't run these typically because they're expensive, they're hard to get, and it's a waste because usually as the quarter panel buckles, these will pop off.
Yeah.
So for years, we have basically made resin molds with Play-Doh, filled them with resin, fiberglass to reinforce them, make sure they don't crack. And then you got to sand them and all that stuff. And we do it that way. It's a multiple day, several hour process.
Sure.
Well,
Not more.
with my new 3D scanner, I'm going to make a 3D model of this, print it out of plastic. And once the model is made and I know it fits, I'll have that model forever, and I can punch out another one of these in like an hour.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
So
I just
it'll still need. Oh, go ahead, Louis.
I just sent you a file, emailed you a file for a urine diverter.
Yeah, yeah, I figured.
Yeah, I bought one. I bought it off Etsy, and I took it up my buddy's place, but his printer wasn't big enough.
Okay. Yeah, how big is it? Do you know?
Not 100%, but like you said, you
I'll
can
have to
probably
look at it.
glue it.
Yeah. So that's the other thing too. So if it's my build surface is 10 by 10 by 10 inches squared. And if it's larger than that, like this Star Destroyer model over here, right? This is going to be like almost 24 inches long when it's all said and done. You can build it in sections. Now, depending on your purposes, you can just cut the model and glue your edges back together once you've printed all your pieces. Or like this model is specifically designed to be printed and then assembled. So it's got all these extra features on the inside where you're using these these little keys like this.
Bow ties, yeah.
Yeah, little bow ties or pins or, combination of. And all those pressure fit then, because these things have really intense resolution for printing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tenth of a millimeter is pretty common.
Wow.
Some of them are even better, more precise than that. So there's actually there's several static prints you can get. So they print all in one shot, and they'll print in place. And then when the print is all done, they'll have like little levers or gears built into them that, if your printer is good, will freely move.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's pretty fun.
it's crazy. And like I said, there's about 12 or 15 different types of plastic you can run, and then in most of those you have a crap ton of color options too.
Yeah. Well,
What?
I've
seen they got some material that has metal in it, so it's like steel.
Yeah. So again, anything you add to the plastic base material is going to actually make it weaker than the plastic by itself.
Mhm.
That's why, to make a really strong part, you'll see guys that leave a channel inside it. Like if you're building a part that's in pieces, and you need it to not move, you can leave a pretty precise hole through it, and then pressure fit a steel rod through it or something like that.
Right.
As far as additives in the filament themselves, primarily that is for decorative or other types of properties. So there's metal filament that has iron in it, and that makes your plastic magnetic. So if you wanted to make a part that would stick to a magnet, you could use that filament for that. There is a type of plastic that has copper in it, and it will actually it will tarnish and corrode and oxidize like copper will. So if you wanted to make a Buddha figurine, right, but you wanted it to have a realistic looking patina to it, you could print it out of one of these metallic fibers and then set it outside, or artificially weather it or something, and it'll look like metal eventually. It'll look like a bronze statue.
Right.
So there's tons of different stuff. But as far as strength wise, when you add anything to the plastic, you're reducing the inherent strength.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So I'm coming over
Yeah.
with a whole big box of stuff. I did. Dude, I'm telling you, I wouldn't get nothing done. I'd be printing all the time. I'd be calling off work and everything.
So I'm having so much fun doing this that my goal now is to try to expand and turn it into a money making proposition,
Right.
and hopefully be able to pay off my initial investment on this printer and continue to expand and run more printers. What's up, Terry?
Right. What up, T?
You're muted,
Your mic's
Terry.
off. You're muted. He's still talking. Uh-oh.
So Tyler, if you don't have to mention the number, but how much of an investment, how high of an investment is that printer?
So if you go on their website, it's I think it's $14.99 plus shipping and sales tax. Or actually, I think the shipping was free. I think they shipped it to me for free for that. They do stock them here in the U.S. in a couple different warehouses. Actually, this one shipped out from New Jersey.
Nice.
Terry, we can't hear you, bro.
Turn your mic on.
Technology time
so-
on Plane and Traffic.
Yeah, right. It's
Yeah,
the
just
mime
pick me
show.
off.
Yeah.
Everybody's having trouble.
Ah,
There it is.
There it is.
there we go.
Yeah, where'd you get that sweatshirt from? I like that AMD sweatshirt.
Oh yeah, this AMD sweatshirt. Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't even given me one. What's up with that?
Well, we are taking the General Lee to Canada for the first time ever in history, and we're going to jump it in front of 25,000 people.
Nice. That's a lot of people.
There's a small
Yeah.
opportunity where I might be the mouthpiece, a small one.
Yeah.
Okay. You'd be good.
Listen, if you can be there on the 19th and 20th, you're in. Got
Don't
your
threaten me with a
passport?
good time.
Mhm.
In Canada?
Yeah, Canada.
Still cold up there.
So what are we
Yeah, so
jumping?
we were on the phone with the promoter a week or two ago, and Raymond, he goes, what's the average temperature up there, in the middle of April? And the guy goes, not too bad, usually around like 18 to 20 degrees.
Yeah.
And then he paused and he said, well, that's centigrade though, so more like 55 Fahrenheit.
Oh, there we go.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
we're
funny.
going to the Radical Speed Sport show, and that's in Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada.
Way up.
Yeah, it's further north and east than you can be in the United States, other than Alaska.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So we're going to Maine, and then we have to drive like another 7 hours in Canada after we leave the U.S. or something like that. It's a ways. 18 hours from where I'm at.
Fun.
That's like when you hit Florida and say, we're almost to Disney, and you still have a little bit of drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're coming from Texas. If you're coming from
Yeah.
Texas and you enter Florida, you're still like 7 hours away.
Yeah. I remember that the very first time we did that. We're like, oh, we're in Florida, we're almost there. And everybody just kind of looked at everybody, and that was a long car ride still. Still had to be
Yeah.
friendly with everybody.
So another cool thing that I'm looking forward to using the 3D scanner for is making reproduction badges for vehicles that you can't get original badges for anymore.
Yeah.
The cool part is they won't even need to be removed from the car. What I can do is they make a spray. I forget the technical term for it, but what it is it's basically a temporary film. And the idea is that it makes a shiny surface dull, because a dull surface has more ways to reflect the light off. So that makes the 3D scanner easier to pick up the surfaces. So you would pull in a car, say it's 1979 Pontiac Sunbird. Now, Barrett, you can buy, Mopar guys are nuts, and you can buy badges everywhere for those.
We make our new one.
What nobody makes badges for is a 1979 Pontiac Sunbird. Especially if it was the what do they call the whatever version came with the Formula, came with the V8 in it. That V8 badge, you can't find them anywhere. Okay. So what I could do is I could find a guy that had a Formula Sunbird, have him come to my shop, pull it inside, not even take the badge off the door, spray it with this 3D scanner assistant spray, and then scan it, and then I can 3D model it and reproduce it in a plastic filament for people who can't find original badges, or they want to they want to remove their originals to protect them and run a replica on the car.
Yeah, because those cars are so collectible,
So it will be plastic. Would it be like plastic chrome?
So you can print in all kinds of different colors. I didn't have time to make. Yeah, but that's if you print it out of the right plastic, it'll accept paint just like a fiberglass or metal or anything like that. So
can you do lenses?
Lenses?
Yeah.
No, because what happens is because it's additive manufacturing, right? So you're printing with tiny little layers of plastic. You can't get the bonds between the layers clear, precise enough to not have any distortion. So there are clear types of filament. There's a clear polycarbonate. There's a clear, polypropylene, I think you can get in clear. There's a couple different ones that are almost completely transparent. And they let lots of light through. So you could make a lens for something that you just want to keep water out of a light source. something like that. But as far as like actual lens, like a for eyeglasses or anything like that, no.
Right. Well, the reason why I ask is because
anything you need visual clarity through, you're not going to be able to.
Well, I wasn't really worried about that, even though originally it had a lens, a light that, it was on my 4000 Quattro on the front bumper. They had turn signal lens down in the bumper and on the side. So the ones on the side of the car works, So
Yeah.
The problem of it is that it had like a orange lens,
Right.
like this type of, and it's really about this size, but nobody makes them, and they all break. They all get stone chipped, stones hit them or whatever, or they get, you smash in when you're coming home drunk and taking out the dumpster or something. They're all broken. And some guys will convert over to like on even though the Euro wasn't really like that, but they'll put a fog light in instead of a thing. I just like the yellow with the color of the car, and I like the yellow lens or the orangish lens.
Well,
that's
Ring
why
Brothers,
would want to have it made.
They print tail lights. Now, is that a different printer that prints those?
It's probably the same type of printer. I would have to find out what kind of plastic they're using, and if they're printing against, because there's also types of printers that print against the mold too. So, I don't have anything here that you're going to be able to see on camera, but on the sides of a print, you're going to have the layers of the plastic where the filament joins the layer below it. That's always going to be somewhat visible. There's a couple different kinds of plastic that you can do what's called post-process. And for example, it's not PLA. I think it's PETG. If you print something in plastic, it's going to have the layer lines on the side, but then you can suspend it in a chamber with acetone fumes, and the acetone will attack the surface of the plastic and will actually kind of melt it again, and it'll run together and it'll smooth. It'll like self-level the surface, and it will make the layer lines pretty much go away. The problem with that is you need a pretty robust print, with some rigidity to it.
Yeah.
A lens, anything that allows light through, by necessity, is going to have to be pretty thin, probably just 1 or 2 layers thick.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, 1 or 2 layers is misleading. Because this printer I have will print very thin. I can print down to 8/100ths of a millimeter thick per layer.
Yeah, it's thin.
Yeah. It is very, very thin. So it would probably be like, you could probably print 10 to 15 layers and still have light shine through most of the plastics I have on the lighter colors. And then, your dark colors and stuff, they're going to block light pretty quickly.
Well, as long as you put something like 10,000 lumens behind it, it'll shine through.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you also have to worry about your heat resistance then too, right? Because even with LEDs, you'll be producing some kind of heat.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get the Ring Brothers back on, so we have to ask that question. Make sure we remember that question with them.
Yeah, I would be very curious what kind of print process they're doing with that.
Yeah, I think they do all their tail lights because they customize all of them.
Well, I know that Eastwood makes a thing where you make a mold, because that's what one of the other guys that has the 4000 like me, he says he was going to start making these bumper light, the lenses. His whole thing, and of course, I'm not as super anal as some of these guys. It's got to be the right color, or the right pigment or whatever. They all freak out because it's not. But he started playing around, and I know Eastwood makes something. I don't know if that's what the Ring Brothers are using, because you can make all kinds of lenses and so forth.
Well,
Now they might be using the printer to make the housings.
That could
no,
be too.
no. He said the lenses because he said if it don't come out the right color, remember he said he mixes in tint in the clear. Then he paints
That's
them.
right. Yeah, that's right. He did say something like that.
Yeah, he paints them so it UV and he gets the color he wants.
Right. Yeah, I right off
get
the
him on
top
the
of my
bat
head,
phone.
I think making a simple round lens, that would be super easy. You can make contoured stuff. It's just a question of how glossy and smooth and completely perfect you want it to look on the outside.
That's
Because like the end of the Star Destroyer model, you have to look really, really close to even tell if it's been printed.
Yeah.
So, but again, the thinner your layers, the more exacting detail you print with, the more time it takes.
Yeah.
So I printed these pieces here. This is a big piece. This is a big piece, and then it had some other small pieces like these bow tie keys that printed at the same time. You know, like this piece, and I printed the front half, and it took like 14 hours. And I had accidentally set all of my quality settings really high, so it was printing like I think like 5 or 6 hundredths of a millimeter thick per layer, and it looks amazing, but it took a really long time. So I left the quality settings the same. I load up the second part of the model, and it said it was going to take 44 hours to print.
Wow.
And I said, man, that seems like a long time. So I double checked everything, and sure enough, I dropped it back down to like what you would call standard quality, and it brought it down to like 9 hours or something like that.
Wow.
Now, 2010, I want to say 2010 at SEMA, they printed a car in the lobby, and they started printing it the first day, and it printed all through the whole week. And at the end of the week, they put it together, and it was ready.
Yeah,
pretty slick.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I believe
there's
I believe that they didn't print like the fender and the doors and everything. I think they printed the whole car and then put everything on it. You know what I mean?
Steel fenders
I
and
got
stuff.
you.
No. They printed the whole body.
Oh,
but it was all together, like the fenders and the hood or the roof and all that stuff was all one piece.
oh,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Pretty
so that's really crazy. There's I forget if I don't know if it's in Germany or where it is, but there's a video that I just saw the other day. The world's largest 3D print machine, and it's printing with fiberglass and resin, and it printed a 130 some foot long yacht.
Wow.
wow.
Yeah, it's
Well,
crazy.
I guess they can make it big as they want. It's all in the access.
Whew.
As long as you make that big.
It's all about material properties, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The composite. We've really come a long way, you know, like body shops. The by far the most common way to put a quarter panel on now is to glue it on with epoxy.
Yeah, but they've been doing that for a number of years now.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple of body shops I stopped at when I was a Snap-on dealer in 2014, 2015. They didn't even really have any guys who welded anymore.
Yeah, before that,
they used panel bond for everything.
Yeah, Mercedes and BMW actually used cold riveting, and then they went to welding, and then they went to adhesive bonding.
Yep.
Right.
And you got to be certified, if any one of them, if you want to fix those cars in New York State.
Yep. Same in Maryland.
Right.
Yeah. It's a safety thing. I mean, you know, because they've seen cars come in the shop where other guys have fixed them and weren't certified, and you know they were coming apart. You're talking about, you know, a front frame section coming off at speed.
Porsche wouldn't sell a structural part to anybody unless they were certified.
Yeah. A lot of liability there.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
That's that happened after we paid, $2.7 billion to a lady that burned herself with a cup of coffee because they didn't tell her it was hot.
Right.
And ever since then, you got to cover your ass on everything.
It wasn't written on the cup. Well, now it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't fix stupid.
Well, you can try.
Good with a hammer.
But you can collect on a lawsuit.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's like the dude that was straightening a rim out. I sold him a hammer and he was straightening a rim and he was hitting two hammers together.
Oh, beautiful.
And the hammer shattered and went through his gut, and he had to have surgery, and the boss said he wasn't going to pay him, and so I get a phone call from a lawyer because I sold him a hammer. I sold him the hammer.
Yeah, well, you got to be smarter than the hammer that you're using. It's tempered steel.
Yeah, well, like I said, I told the guy
loses its temper, you will get hurt.
I told his lawyer that, well, unfortunately, I know they don't show this movie Primitive Pete anymore, an auto shop, but going along the line, it says right on the hammer, do not strike another hardened object, may cause shatter.
Back when I worked in a machine shop years ago, my boss was an old Navy machinist, and he would have me doing a lot of, all sorts of different operations, milling, lathing, surface grinding, all sorts of stuff. And he would always stop in and he would tell me, Junior, call me Junior. And I would say, yeah, Raj, what is it? He goes like, all right, when you're done with that operation, stop. Okay. And I would finish what I was doing, then I would stop, shut the machine down. Okay. I was milling a big chunk of aluminum this one day, and I was using probably like a half or 5/8 end mill and really taking a deep cut, because it was aluminum, so you could really chunk the thing out. And he says, listen, he goes, I know what you're doing. He goes, I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. He says, I just want to tell you about, Juan Perez. I was like, who the fuck is Juan Perez? He goes, he was in machinist class, third mate that I had on my ship. He says, and he was doing a procedure just like you were. He goes, but he went a little too deep and a little too fast. He goes, and next time I came around, I saw him laying on a tool room floor with half an end mill sticking out of his chest. He goes, I don't want you to be the next Juan Perez. I was like, got it, Chief. And he would do that with every machine I worked on. He had another story about some other machinist mate on the ship that either got killed or close to killed by doing it wrong. And I'll tell you something, to this day, I learned lessons from him that I will not repeat. I mean, I learned it. I'm like, you got it, boy. And I watched him get his finger crushed in a plastic injection.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's when you realize you got to listen to the guy because.
No, I was there when I had to take the crushed finger out of the die because he didn't want the women that worked there to see it. So I had to take the needle and then take him to the freaking hospital.
Yeah.
Basically, with the end mill, if it's a 1/2 inch end mill, you can't take off more than the 1/2 inch.
Yeah, it was bigger than half. It was 5/8, so about
a 1 inch end mill, you can only go 1 inch.
Yeah,
you can only take away the material in the amount of the size of the.
Well, right.
It will take more, but if you take more, that's when the failure occurs.
On a vertical cut, you can't go more than the depth than the width of the bit because there's nothing else there. But there was a limit to everything. Well, actually, that the end mill will actually flex.
Yes, it will,
and that's what snaps it because they're hardened tool steel. So, yeah, it's just funny, if you've ever learned a lesson like that, not the hard way, but learned it the right way. I'm happy now that I can say at this age, like, yeah, I still have all my fingers and I don't have any, major damage. Major,
No extra holes, huh?
Yeah, no extra holes. Well, they start off
no vents.
Yeah.
I tell you, I try to really watch, man, because I'm using the saws and stuff all the time, and you got to respect them.
Yeah.
Yep. As soon as you become complacent, that's when they bite you.
Yeah.
So, going back to something you said earlier, Ray, you asked about the standard spool sizing.
Yeah.
And that just made me think about. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. See between the two spools.
Uh-huh.
See how you can see the plastic of the black?
Yeah.
So This is a standard size spool. It's 8 inches across.
Looks like a MIG
This-
welder.
Yeah, similar. This is a 205 millimeter spool. It's just a little bit too big for the AMS.
Yeah.
So what I did is I went and I found someone who already had this problem, and I printed lid spacers.
Yeah, there you go.
So what this is this is a pre-printed problem solver that you open the lid, you put your too tall spool in, and you put these lid props in, and it will prop your lid up but still keep it sealed.
Is that
So then-
company open to hearing about these things?
Oh yeah, actually, they have a whole wiki page dedicated to mods that are good and mods that are bad.
Good.
And they're all about it.
So it's community. That's good.
Yeah, it's very. They're not as open source as a lot of other companies are. The 3D printing environment has been really open source from day one, and a lot of people kind of get up in arms about that because this company wants to not have you buy parts from somewhere else.
Yeah.
But they haven't really gone after anyone for copyright or anything like that. So, and as far as mods, anything you can print and bolt to your printer, they're excited to see it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So then that's if you have a spool that's too large. But then what do you do if you get a spool like this? This is a little half pounder. What do you do if you get one that's too small? Well, you go onto your print source website and you print an adapter,
Yeah.
and it's threaded,
Oh wow.
right? So the threads are built right into the print. It prints with the threads on it already, and now it fits in my material handling system like a regular spool.
Great.
Huh.
Dude, you ain't gonna get no work done.
The machine makes
I
parts
see.
for itself. That's great.
Yeah. I make adapters and parts and all kinds of stuff. So I beg to differ, Lewis, because Longshot Performance is going to become an exclusive appointment-only performance shop, and Longshot Print Labs is going to be my main day job.
There you go. So can you just along the way somehow stop China from buying up all our freaking farmland next to military bases, please? 'Cause that's kind of bothering me these days. I'm a little worried about that.
A lot of states are starting to do it.
Why do
I
you
know.
think I moved to Texas?
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not going to be good for anybody if this really goes much further.
Well, I know a few places that can't buy farmland at because you still got your launch facilities and you've got your missiles in the ground, and they like to keep a lot of space around them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are a couple of places where they're buying farmland like 10 miles away from a Air Force base.
Yes. They was on Fox. They had it on the news today. They were showing it. They showed the locations. I mean, I don't know the exact location. They showed the states, but yeah, you're right, Jim. And
That was really
It's a little scary.
and now
that was really funny on my end, Ray. You said, "Can you stop China from?" And then everybody, the whole thing
I was
shut
going
down
to
for
say, you
me.
froze up for a second.
See? Yeah, they're
Like,
watching.
no, I cannot do anything about China. Sorry.
All right, so you keep your internet feed. The rest of us are going to be dead.
Yeah, right.
Back to asylum.
Yeah. Well, that's another. I invested in the armory some too last week. So
Okay. Nice.
I'll
Hey,
just
Justin,
sit back here and eat my farm fresh eggs off of my chicken.
I'm sorry.
Watch the cattle glow in the dark down the street.
yeah, there you go.
Like the
Nice
hat,
hat,
man.
nice hat, Coach.
Plan and traffic.
Hey guys.
Yeah, man, it's that one.
Isaac.
Hey, Justin. Justin had a question. Sorry, I got it right. Can
Oh,
you
there
put
you go.
more than one material at the same time?
Yeah. So this is a machine that has a single nozzle, but because it has the 4 spool holder, which by the way is expandable, you can have up to 4 of those units for a total of 16 spools available to the printer at any time. And you can do multiple things. So you could have, you can't, there's certain limits, right? So nylon wants to be printed really, really hot with a really hot bed surface temperature and a heated enclosure until the print is all the way done, and then you let it cool down slowly. most of the plastics that hobbyists use aren't that extreme. They can be printed in open air without a problem. So as long as your plastics are aligned on the temperature side of things, then yes, you could very easily print one part on one side out of a PLA plastic, and then the other side of the bed could be printed in PETG. There's certain kinds of plastics that will interact and stick to each other, and you can do that. And then of course there's all kinds of like, this is a plastic called PLA. This is just your standard black PLA, but I have this right here is also PLA, but it's called silk PLA, and it's somewhat translucent, and it's like gold and red mixed together. So this will make like an iridescent effect.
Cool.
And then what the AMS will do, you on your 3D print file, your STL, you can specify different parts of your model to be different colors, and the resolution for different colors is as small as the printer can print. So that 0.4 of a millimeter wide by 8/100ths of a thick millimeter pass of the printer could be one color, and then another color directly on top of that, and yet another color directly on top of that.
Nice.
So is that like the same stuff as LGBTQ stuff?
No,
No,
because those people are confused. This is actually pretty straightforward.
No, but that
I'm
could be
just
like
trying to understand all, because you keep throwing out all these letters, and I just didn't know.
Okay.
If I was
Here.
trying to communicate with you there, Tyler.
All right, I'll stop using the abbreviations, and we can start using the full names. So
yeah, right.
This is polylactic acid based plastic,
I like
which is actually derived from corn syrup and is biodegradable in a industrial composter.
So Brian, the thing is, like, to answer your question, when Tyler makes that part in the multi-layer LGBTQ colors and then cuts it, it ends up looking like a like the knives that are the
Damascus.
Yes.
Well,
Right.
what I want to know is if you make my turn signal lenses and you get it all done, and when I do put a light behind it, can I see a unicorn or a
rainbow?
A rainbow.
It would probably be a phallus.
There you go. Nice.
Okay, fellas, I'm gonna eat my dinner and go to sleep.
All right,
All
Paul.
right, Paul.
Take care, Paul.
Take care.
All right.
Hey,
Yeah, I don't-
I'm gonna post a video from a YouTube video from Rat Rod Magazine. They finally released the video from Starbird, so when I get a chance, I'll send it over to you guys.
Okay, cool.
That'd be awesome.
All right, take care.
All right, take it easy.
So this,
Brian,
this is the base. This is the base of a valve stem cap that I printed.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you guess what is in my hand because I don't want us to get banned from YouTube or anything like that. But they're for pranking people in the work parking lot. And I already have, so I've already sold about $30 worth of these prank valve stem caps. And I have orders for custom colors and glow in the dark and all kinds of other stuff.
God, that's going to be funny.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. So the first run I just did in a UV resistant black plastic because everyone's like, well, I want it to be discreet. I want it to be on there for a long time before they notice it. I was like, okay, no problem. I'll make it look kind of like a regular valve stem cap. But then some other people, they want it to be like outlandish. Like this one guy, I guess he's got gold wheels on his Acura, and his coworker wants to put gold genitalia shaped valve stem caps on it.
Now, how did these people find you, perchance?
This is just word of mouth. Like I haven't posted anything on Facebook. I haven't done anything yet. This is just people I bump into at the coffee shop and mention that I've got a 3D printer. You know, actually, when I was down at what the gun shop is called, the Armory. Actually, while I was down there buying some things to add to my armory from the Armory, I bumped into their photographer. And when they get new models of firearm in, what he does is he puts them on a turntable and he's got like this bent metal rod that
Lucite.
goes up in the mag well.
Lucite stand, yeah.
Yep. And then he'll spin it and he'll take photos and videos and put it on social media and all that stuff.
Right.
So I just happened to be talking to someone else about 3D printing. He overheard me and he said, "Hey, could you make me a solution to go on top of my turntable that would be more stable than what I'm doing now? Because sometimes I'll start the video and I'll turn the turntable and halfway around the gun will like slide or fall over or something stupid." He's like, "I'm wasting a lot of time." Yeah, exactly. So I said, "Well, how about this? I could build you a plate that has pinholes in it, and then every time you get a new type of firearm in, send me the magazine, or I can come pick it up or whatever, and I'll 3D scan the magazine, and I'll make an adapter piece that hooks into the base plate, and it'll be the same size and shape as the magazine, and then the gun won't have any play. It'll stay in the same spot." And he goes, "That would be really valuable for me." So I've got my first contract for a 3D print design.
Cool.
So how are you going to figure out how to price something like that to the customer?
So I was talking to my buddy. He started as a hobby 3D printer guy, and then he just printed some statues, some little figurines for a friend of his, and that guy took them to some Geek Fest kind of show, and the people are like, "Oh, that's really cool. Where can I get one of those?" And he just spread his name like that, and he ended up paying for his whole 3D printer just by printing silly little knickknacks for people.
I think Isaac wants 3 Madonnas and a couple of.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
You need a couple.
Actually, I want to get door handles for the Porsche, the outer door handles, 3D printed, because the original door
look, I know a guy can make you phallic ones. Perfect.
Yeah.
And every time you push the button, the washer squirter will work. It'll be great.
Yeah. You want it with or without the veins?
But the originals are pot metal, and I guess when I had one that broke, and I guess they're prone to break like that.
Oh yeah.
And they're very, very rare to find.
Yep.
In
The
fact,
Audis are the same way. The door handles, all that stuff. I mean, there's tons of stuff. We had a distributor that had he made for our cordless, our battery powered stuff. He made 3D dummy batteries so that you could screw into a board and you could put your guns on there or your tools on there, and that way it holds them there, and instead of them laying down, or you can put more on the shelf or whatever.
Yep. And if you have an older style tool that doesn't take a smart battery, if there's no communication protocol, it's just voltage, you can print adapters to adapt different brands of batteries from one gun to another.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
What model is your Porsche?
it's a 914, 1973 914. I also
914 Porsche.
I also wouldn't mind getting a 1/18 scale, roughly, Mi-24 Hind to go up there with the Su-27. And then remember, one of the last times you were on, I tilted the camera up or I took on the cell phone and sent you pictures of the Apache. So I'd have something for the Apache to square up with.
Oh yeah, for sure. So there are some Porsche parts already 3D modeled, mostly for RC cars and stuff like that, but they're all to scale. So depending on the type of the way it mounts to the door and such, we could definitely work with something there. Or if you could find an intact one and send it to me and 3D scan it or something like that, there's tons and tons of opportunity for stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get into the 3D scanning side of stuff as well. This is a little entry level guy. This is like $350 to get. Comes with the grip, the cabling, the sensor unit, and then you throw your phone on it, and the phone acts like a combination processor unit and monitor for it. And if that goes well, I'll probably invest in one of the nicer ones that has, is more feature packed. It's got better resolution and all that kind of stuff. because they go all over the place. So like this one, I could 3D model Lewis's face and print him on plastic.
You'll make a lot of money
But-
with that piece.
But you know, you wouldn't be able to tell if he just had a fat lip from me punching him or if it was his mustache, right? But they make 3D printers or 3D scanners with enough resolution where you could tell if he had acne or not.
Yeah.
Or if he had
Like-
spaghetti for dinner. So Tyler, excuse me if
Yeah.
you answered the question already, but I didn't catch it. How are you going to figure out a price matrix for these different jobs?
Yes. So in talking to my friend who ended up paying for his whole printer setup by printing knickknacks for people, the way he prices stuff now is he built an algorithm on his computer just in a spreadsheet, and he takes cost of filament, machine runtime, and multiplies those by each other to figure out how much to charge for the base print, and then he has a separate labor model for design time. So if it's something he can just go on and find a free download for, or if they supply him with a 3D model, then it's just the print time cost. But then if he has to design something or modify something, then that's by the hour for design time.
Wait, but the first one, if it's just if he gets a free program and it's the print time cost, then there's no profit. If
Well,
you
it's
Well, no,
runtime
because
on the machine.
you're charging for the runtime of the machine. Yeah.
If it takes 9 hours to run, and I guess the bottom line is, he's charging $45 an hour, $56 an hour, $110 an hour.
there's the next factor is per hour, right?
Right.
How much per time unit.
So and
Or do it like a dealership and just go by tenths.
Yeah.
well,
So here's a good example, right? So this adapter that I printed for the small spools, so they'll fit in the AMS. This weighs maybe 2 ounces, maybe an ounce, something like that, right? So I get 2.5 pounds of plastic for about $12 of this plastic. So my material cost for printing this was somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 cents, maybe less. It tied up my machine printing because I had to print because of the size, right? I had to print each of these individually. And I think all told for both halves, I have about an hour's worth of printer time right here. So if I was going to make these and sell them for someone or to someone, I would probably sell this for like $15. Now you're saying to yourself, that's only $15 an hour, but my cost is only maybe $1 between electricity and plastic.
Okay.
So the way you make money with a print farm is you have lots of printing space.
Yeah.
This is a Cadillac machine that'll do a wide range of materials like nylon, carbon fiber reinforced stuff, all the crazy stuff. I could get a machine with this level of accuracy and speed that'll pop these things out all day long for like $600-$700. And there's even cheaper options than that out there. So what you do is you get like a row of 5 of those, and now you're printing out 5 of these an hour.
Right.
For the same dollar per part cost or less.
Yeah, I can see the machine count growing because this one's working. Now you're not doing anything, so you need another one to start filling.
Exactly.
In. Yeah, I got
and it's there's the available printing space conundrum is what I've been calling it. So while I'm printing one of these, it ties up my printer for an hour. In the meantime, if I need something stupid like one of these little key tags, this only takes like 6 minutes to print on the printer, but I can't do that while it's printing this.
Right.
Right.
So what a lot of people end up doing is they'll get a high-end machine like this, and they'll use it for their custom stuff, their exotic material prints or prototyping, and then they'll have a row of less expensive, less capable machines to just churn out stuff that sells for decent money.
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
All right, guys, time for me to cut out.
All right, Jim.
All right, see you, Jim.
All right,
Tyler, that was,
Take care, Jim.
a lot of really good information. That sounds really interesting. Thanks a lot for that tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, it's super accessible to a lot of people. So
Yeah, I was going to mention that, in the RC side of things, there's a bunch of guys who buy the hobbyist style printers, and they print like brackets and stands and stuff like that. I even have a couple of things that a couple people made for me. They're relatively inexpensive, and they love doing it. So,
yep,
and
exactly.
They make $50 on the side, which is a good thing. Always a good thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, good night, guys.
All right,
See ya.
Take care, Jim.
Have a good week.
Tyler, the cost of your machine again. What was it?
So this is the Bamboo Labs X1 Carbon, and I got it with the single AMS unit on top. Now, again, that AMS is optional, but that allows the machine to control 4 spools of material at once. I started to talk a little bit earlier about the flexibility that gives you because of Justin's question. So right now, those 4 spools can be anything. They could be each a different type of material. They could be 4 different colors of the same material to use on the same print, or they could be 4 of the exact same spool, and the machine, when one spool runs out, will start feeding from the next. And you can stack up to 4 of those AMSs to have up to 16 available spools. So the base unit is, I think it's $11.99, and then the AMS by itself is usually $350, but it's a $300 or $250 when you buy it with the printer itself. So I got the whole thing out the door for like $15.80 to my door,
$15.80.
and
Nice.
it will do. And the reason I spent that much is because it will do all of those more exotic plastics. Now, if you're just looking to print little trinkets like this, or models, or some basic everyday stuff
Keychain.
like keychains, little toys, desktop models, even some like brackets. Here's something I got from the Iron Horse guys when they came for the Raising the Roof event. This is a business card holder. It's got their logo on it. This is 3D
Is he
printed.
frozen for everybody?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
frozen. You're frozen. Move around, dance.
He just froze.
We can-
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my internet.
You will print up a
Because you
new
guys are
one.
still
We'll
moving.
wait.
Yeah. Can you hear me at least?
Yeah. we
Oh
can
yeah,
hear
you still sound sexy. Good profile.
All
You see where
right.
you tighten up around the ears.
Yeah, I see that. So, basically, this machine is way more capable than I'll use 99% of the time. But you can get a machine that will have the same speed and accuracy with more basic materials from the same company for $5.99. And then you can add the AMS to that as well and handle 4 spools at once. And it's that extra $300. So for under $1,000, you can get the same level of capability with the more basic plastic.
You unfroze.
Yes, and like
Who's,
I said,
whose TV's on?
this meeting,
That's
so
Papa
that I
What's
have
that?
Squirrel.
something coherent to send out to
I
them.
got a TV on. It's my wife talking.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I
Yup.
know. I didn't want to have a voice voice thing right next to you, but. I don't have it.
Well, we can't holler at Debbie, so we gotta take it.
No. Well, this is work
Yeah.
too because she's going to be working.
I was thinking we were going
Can you hold up the card holder again?
So
Yeah.
it would interfere with his program, and I wouldn't be safe.
I mean, you're on one hell of a delay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's actually a phone holder.
Phone holder, yeah.
Oh, is it a
Phone holder, business card holder. Most of the
cool.
phone holders I see are they're actually leaned back.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different stuff.
Like I said, the ones I made out of aluminum, I kind of put them back on about not a 45, but maybe a 35, 40 degree angle, so it was comfortable to
Right.
see.
I just ordered a parts kit to 3D print my own wireless mouse for the computer.
Oh, sweet.
So it comes with the little eye and the buttons and the battery contacts, and then you 3D print the whole housing out of whatever colors you want.
Neat.
And that company name on the internet is
Bamboo Labs. Yeah, Bamboo. Yeah, with a U instead of a OO at the end.
Well, I tell you, if it's anything like bamboo socks, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I've come to the conclusion now that the black socks are way more comfortable than the white socks.
Have you tried the gray yet?
No.
What's up, Justin?
Hey guys.
Hey guys, I gotta jump ship.
Tyler, how are you? Justin.
Tyler, I will load up a box of stuff and come over one day this week.
All right. I'll be here printing.
All right, cool. Hey, you guys have a good week, and I'll talk to you next week.
You
You'll have to dig him out because we'll have printed up so much stuff his garage will be buried in it.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Hey, speaking about the bust, you'll have to do a 3D bust of Terry. My mom's a big fan of Terry.
Yeah, for sure.
She is. I sent her a link to his YouTube page. I don't know if she's been watching him, but she's like, I really like that one guy, and I'm like, which one? And she goes, I think is cover Terry something. And I said, that's Terry. Yeah, Coverman 66. And she goes, yeah. And she goes, I love him, man. She goes, he's just his personality and just his, he's such a good looking guy and everything. I'm like, Mom, calm down. Sorry for outing you, Mom.
He's married. Yeah, so here's an example, Isaac. I'm looking at all these different plane models and stuff that I can print up.
Oh, okay.
And the cool part is once you have the printer and once it's up and going and you've got all your filaments and stuff on hand, I can print one of these models for less than $1 cost to me.
Hey, that's nice. Hey, can
Like,
you
here's
send me?
one-
Can you text me a
Here's
link?
one where you.
Can you text me a link to those models
Yeah, sure.
so I can take a look at them?
Yeah. So here's a flyable 3D printed F-22 Raptor. Oh, that sucks. Wait a minute. What am I looking at here? Hold on. All right. So the creator must have taken that down after this page loaded. I loaded this page up yesterday. So, but it's a 3D printed model that's flyable. So you buy the electronic guts for an RC airplane, and you put in the F-22 that you 3D print. My buddy that lives in Toronto, he just 3D printed an airplane as well. They actually make a special filament for printing airplane parts. It's not required, but it does help with performance and stuff. And it's a polylactic acid plastic, Brian. But it's specifically formulated to foam a little bit as it's extruded, so it will be lighter, right? So it's called PLA Aero.
Don't use abbreviations, man. You don't like them.
Yeah, I know. Got to take it easy. The ABS and the ASA and the PLA and the PETG and all that
God,
stuff.
can
It's
you
because
I have gotten in trouble for that.
oh yeah.
I'm going to put you guys on my microphone on mute for you so my wife can come down, sit back here, and do the work she's doing, and I'll be able to continue listening.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, if you have any questions, Papa Squirrel, just shoot me a message. And as far as you, Isaac, all you have to do is hop on Google and just type F-22 3D print file.
Okay.
And there'll be lots of different search engines. Maker World, Thingiverse, Printables. These are all websites that host lots and lots of free files.
Cool.
And then there's a website called GameBot where professional engineers will put their models available for sale for money. For example, there's a 36-inch long movie accurate 3D print file for a Star Destroyer that I really want to buy, but it's $85. And with the size of my printer, it'll take me about 3 weeks of printing to print all the parts out.
Wow.
Good time to go on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's with my 10-inch by 10-inch build space, it's 370 individual parts.
Well, supposedly
Wow.
these days, if you rub it the right way, it grows 2.5 inches.
Well, that's what Aerosmith said, right? Just whip out a big 10-inch record of my favorite 45.
So, I mean, if you start working on it, it only takes a little bit of time, and you can get a little bigger there, Tyler.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, but and there's all kinds of, so because it's plastic, if you print it thin enough, light will shine through it, right? So you can do custom business logos and signs real easy. There's a type of 3D printing called lithopane, which anyone that's had a high school art class probably knows. It's cyan, pink, yellow. I forget what the fourth color is, but it's 4 colors. And what you'll do is typically there would be 4 different screens printed in each color, and then you overlay them and they make a full color image. You can do similar stuff with the 3D printing. So it looks like just a bunch of colors, and then you shine the light through it, and all of a sudden it's a picture.
Right.
So the sky really is the limit.
All right, the sky. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna be able to go to the limit now because we're gonna end the live.
Okay.
So we can save on bandwidth, and then we can continue to talk amongst ourselves.
Sounds good.
So for Lewis Lee and Tyler, great presentation tonight. Thank you, bud. You were great. We're gonna have you. We're gonna bring you into class more often and have you do show and tell. This is great.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things I'm real passionate about is learning and spreading knowledge, and especially with something like this that has so many practical applications in everyday life, from household objects to toys and models and display stuff to prototyping for manufacturing, and potentially reproducing very hard to find automotive components.
Right.
So there's tons and tons of applications.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we'll end this now. We'll stay on. We'll continue on, and we'll be back next week.
Bye, Mom.